News Radio KMAN weather.
Currently in Manhattan, overcast skies and 63. Tonight, cloudy with a low of around 61 with a 30% chance of showers after 2 a.m. Tuesday, mostly cloudy with a high near 76 with a 30% chance of showers before 10 a.m. Tuesday night, mostly cloudy with a low of around 63. Wednesday, mostly sunny with a high near 84. Wednesday night, mostly clear with a low of around 61. Up next, Wildcat Insider on News Radio KMAN.
The following is an
Daily
exclusive
Weather presented by Fox Business Systems. How much does downtime cost you and your business? Don't let another second go by. Call Fox Business Systems at 776-1452.
The following is an exclusive presentation of News Radio KMAN, your home for K-State athletics. This is Wildcat Insider with the Mercury sports editor Tim Everson and KMAN sports director Mitch Fortner.
Well, folks, what do you think? Was that K-State's best all-around performance of the 2025 season? Do you think Avery Johnson should still be benched? That was probably the most common text/comment we got last week. Avery Johnson should be benched. We talked about it last week. Tim?
Just ridiculous.
Avery throws for $198, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. And he also ran for 29 yards, was sacked a couple of times. That was not an easy defense to run on. I mean, K-State ran for 145, and they earned all 145 of those yards. It wasn't a ton of, running after contact type of games for K-State. But defensively, the defense shows up. Des Purnell is Johnny on the spot. Great awareness by Wesley Fair. He never heard the whistle. He probably thought back, Pop Warner days, you played to the whistle. There was no whistle, folks. Scoop and score touchdown, 2 defensive scores for K-State, and the Wildcats get win number 3 of the season, beating TCU with a final score of 41-28. A temporary painkiller on the season that's been overall, I would say, a disappointing one. But is K-State turning things around? They've won 2 of their last 3 games. What are they playing for now? Well, in a couple of weeks. The old Sunflower Showdown. But the phone lines and text lines are open, folks. 785-537-1350. If you want to call in or text us a question or comment, your criticisms about Avery Johnson or the coaches, whatever is on your mind after this win against TCU. Again, that phone number is 785-537-1350. Tim Everson from the Manhattan Mercury joining us, also from, of course, PowerCat Game Day. Tim, you were there. It was a hot day. The fans on the east side either went to find some shade or they weren't entertained enough, and this team isn't doing well enough to want to stay for the second half. But the second half had really most of the fireworks.
Yeah, it did. In general, I've been in that student section. I've been cooked by the sun. It's a tough thing to do, and you really got to be locked in. And I would say that in general, leading up to this game, probably the team hadn't quite earned that undying loyalty for several, roughly 1,000, couple thousand students to get real bad sunburns. But I think the good news going forward is I think that Saturday was a good step in the right direction of kind of winning back the more tepid fans that maybe wanted to go find some shade in the parking lot and a cold beverage rather than hang around for the second half.
I mean, the stadium looked phenomenal at kickoff.
It did.
Find another team in the country that's 2-4 and had a full stadium like that.
Absolutely.
I give K-State fans all the credit in the world for still showing up. We had another sellout. The streak still continues. A little bit of a different story in the second half. I told myself as I moved to the press box 6 years ago, I would never judge the fans to stay or leave, hot or cold, get a beer, come back in, whatever. You do your thing. You know, the rules there at the Bill allow you to do certain things like exit and reentry. You know, do what you want to do. And I understand as well when the team's 2-4. You know, I always wondered, like, does the football student, like, do they get any incentives for showing up to games, or like basketball, for example? Like, I remember, like, basketball, do they still do like the point system or anything? Gavin's shaking his head yes. So
I think so.
There's an incentive to show up to basketball games, because does that still, you like, when you show up you get a better spot in line for the KU game? Is that how it works? He's shaking his head yes. So yeah, I don't think football has the same thing, right?
No, because it honestly hasn't really been an issue. You know, people showed up regardless.
And not as many games.
Yeah, not as many games. Exactly.
The first half was a snooze fest. K-State stalls. The shortest drive, actually, in the first three for K-State was 8 plays. So they didn't have a 3-and-out until the first drive of the third quarter. But nobody scores in the first quarter. TCU scores about halfway into the second quarter. I'm like, okay, now I think we've gone through a feeling out process. Both offenses have shown some decent things, but it's the defense getting stops and forcing punts. Simon McClanahan comes out. He's not punting very well. Oh, great. Here we go. TCU strikes first. I thought K-State's drive to respond was one of the biggest moments of the game. And the reason is because K-State, when they would respond, it was mostly a second half thing, not consistent. To go right back down the field after the first play, Avery throws an incomplete pass. It was it J.B. Bradley or Tibbs? Maybe it was Tibbs that went up and got that ball.
Tibbs
in coverage. It's a 30-yard plus play. I'm like, okay, we're getting a rhythm now. That was a great play call. I think Wells is starting to really open things up, let the passing game do its thing. And then seam route, Garrett Oakley, touchdown. The Cats are feeling it a little bit. Wesley, I almost said Wesley Iwundu. I kind of did. Wesley Fair, nice heads-up play. I went back and watched the replay of Josh Hoover throwing that pass. So by rule, if it's a lateral, like it's a pass that is parallel to the goal line, or backwards, it's a backwards pass. A parallel pass is considered a backwards pass. And while watching the replay in the Bill, I was watching, I'm like, I'm pretty sure Hoover's hand is more back at the 21, and where the ball gets touched or it hits the ground, it's maybe the 22. I was like, there might be a little bit of evidence. This could be overturned. Nobody really agreed with me. I'm still kind of going back and watching over that film. I'm like, I think there's a slight argument. I think there's a sliver of argument there. Nonetheless, K-State, big benefit of a heads-up play by Fair. That sequence, to me, set the tone for the second half because the defense is stepping up. They're like, hey, last game we got you guys we took the ball away from the offense. You guys didn't do anything with it. Now we're just going to do it ourselves. That's my take. Wesley Fair just did it himself. Desmond Purnell with 2 interceptions and a pick 6. He did it himself. The defense with 3 turnover on downs. I'm loving this defense right now. It's not perfect. I, like everybody else, was a little bit annoyed. Zayshawn Rich gave up 2 big touchdowns. It was kind of like, well, we can't have a K-State TCU game without a TCU wide receiver having his day against a K-State corner.
That's true. That's
Quentin Johnston versus Julius Brents in 2022. It happened in 2 games. Just Julius is the man. Quentin Johnston was his kryptonite. It wasn't a perfect day, but if anybody had just a solid all-around performance, was truly the game changers on their side of the football. I think it's K-State's defense that had a really, really positive day.
Yeah, which I think is interesting that they're the side that's kind of fully figured it out first, because I think that coming into the year, I think at least I felt more confident in kind of what was coming back on the offensive end and what we had heard about certain things, and I think they're getting there. But yeah, you're absolutely right. I think that the defense has finally clicked. We got to hear in post game, they were able to show some different looks to TCU that maybe threw Josh Hoover off a little bit. And that was huge. I mean, TCU's offense is legit. I mean, they gave up 2 big scores, but a lot of defenses are going to give up a score to TCU and a guy like Eric McAllister because he is good. But I feel as good as I felt about this team all year, and that is a lot because of how the defense played on Saturday.
If Zachon Rich didn't give up that first, like that, what was it, 85 yards?
Yeah.
Whatever it was, I think there was a hold or something, so backed him up 10 yards and an 85-yard touchdown to it was Eric McAllister that scored the touchdown. You take away that score, K-State able to get the ball back. I mean, right there with whatever, 8 minutes left to go, that's the nail in the coffin. We're probably feeling way better about the game, already feeling good about the game. You win the game, you win by a couple of scores, but we're probably feeling way better because K-State probably has a good chance of scoring again. And right around that time anyway, K-State was starting to get real conservative. And I thought K-State early on was a little bit too conservative. Too many, we saw it a couple of times where Avery has to go to the short route to the outside, and maybe the pass was just a tad bit later or wasn't there. Just had to get rid of the football. But I did like Avery taking a couple of sacks in this game because we've seen him in that kind of pressure, throw some bad footballs, and he throws an interception. So I kind of took that as a good sign that Avery was just okay to, hey, we got to concede this one. Let's live to fight another day. I'm totally okay with that. My thoughts on the offensive performance of this game was that, okay, I hear you. Offensive line is still getting better. Devin Vass in the lineup has made the guys better. John Pastore did give up that sack. He's given up some of the pressure lately on Avery Johnson. Out of the 2 sacks, though, I thought the offensive line was really good in the pass rush. I thought they were really good against the pass rush. The run blocking still needs work. Because K-State, Joe Jackson got his 100 yards. He got 110. It took 27 carries to get there. It was a fight just to get him there. He got there because K-State got conservative, and they just handed him the ball 12 times in the last 16 plays or something like that. I don't really ever felt like K-State got the run game truly going. I felt like the offense is what the passing game of the offense is what kind of opened it up. Tim, I don't know if you agree or disagree with that. I was just proud that Joe Jackson, for 2 straight games, it felt like he was just playing his ass off and trying to make something out of sometimes nothing most of the time.
Yeah, back-to-back career performance, and it's what we kind of, criticized him for, or I guess it's the opposite of what we criticized him for at the start of the season, where he just wasn't able to, make anyone miss. It was completely ineffective. Now it seems like he's settled. The offensive line is getting a little bit better. They are kind of improving game in and game out. It'll be interesting as a little side note where, we'll be 3 weeks into the month of October. KU game. Could that be the spot where we see George Fitzpatrick for the first time? That's something to kind of keep an eye out for.
You know something?
No, I don't. But Kleiman said that they were expecting him in October. Whenever we asked him, a month or so ago. We haven't asked anything since then. There's no press conference this week, so we're not going to know anything until next week. But it's just, an interesting thing to keep an eye out for. But, Joe has been huge in terms of just trying to find a way to make up for the fact that they, Dylan Edwards can't stay healthy. And they need something consistent, even if it isn't, 4 yards a carry is nice. Now he did have a 21-yard run that kind of boosts that total, but I am encouraged by what Joe has done so far. And I think that, he's still young. He's only a sophomore. He only has, he was behind 2 guys last year. And so his carries are still fairly limited. I think he's going to just continue to get better and better the more and more that he is going to have to play kind of a starring role in the run game.
All right, a couple of other thoughts here just off the dome about what I thought were factors in this game. I kind of want to go back to the first half. Just another thought. I give all the credit in the world to Des Purnell. He was just Johnny on the spot. He was right place, right time, good hands, couple of interceptions. He now has 3 career touchdowns. Trivia question, if you can tell me. We'll get to it later on. What were the other 2 scores that he had in his career? I'll give you a hint. One was a scoop and score, and another one was a special teams touchdown. If you tell me who those were, don't have a prize for you. Maybe next week we can hook you up with some, or 2 weeks we'll hook you up with some Texas Tech tickets. Des Purnell has had a hell of a career. He tipped the cap to those before him that led him to where he is today. And I think he is having a really great year. And without him, look, this isn't anybody's ball game. For his awareness, to be in the right spots, good hands, K-State, I think, is in trouble in this game without the defensive takeaways. This is a very close neck-and-neck game probably if the K-State defense is not stepping up. But also, I think Josh Hoover played an effect on this game. He affected this game negatively for TCU, and that's a little bit of a surprise. And I'm not talking about necessarily second half. There was a couple of second half bad throws. One of them went out the hands of a shorter player on the team and went right into the hands of Des Purnell. But in the first half, he had a couple of passes that were a little off target, and his wide receivers had a couple of drops. And we're talking 4th down plays. We're talking 3rd down plays. Like, pivotal games for plays for TCU where the offense just didn't execute for the Horned Frogs. And if it was either Josh Hoover that was a little off the mark or the wide receivers not hauling in the pass, like Ed Small had a couple of drops. TCU shot themselves in the foot a couple of times, and that's how K-State was able to get off the field. But that's okay. I want to point out that's okay. I'm just calling balls and strikes on this one. Josh Hoover had some moments where it was a little uncharacteristic of him. And it was kind of reflecting what happened against Arizona State a couple of weeks ago when they lost to the Sun Devils, and the Sun Devils made a big comeback. The key here is K-State capitalized.
Yeah.
This is where the big swing is coming into play here. This is where K-State's taking its biggest step forward. If you're making the other team have some mistakes, you're getting some takeaways, how about go capitalize and go score some points? The defense is really, really, really stepping up, in my opinion. The offense, not as quickly, but they're stepping up as well. Is this a better team over the last 3 games? Yes, absolutely.
100%. It's not even close.
Let's take a timeout. Still to come in hour number 2. Voice of the Cats, Wyatt Thompson. A little bit later on this hour, we're going to hear from K-State soccer coach Colleen Corbin. Avery Johnson coming up next. Wildcat Insider.
You're listening to Wildcat Insider.
This fall, Roberts Heating and Cooling wants to honor a veteran in need. Nominate your hometown hero, someone who's made a difference as a soldier and in your community. Each Friday, one will be named Hometown Hero of the Week. Winning K-State football tickets from Manhattan Broadcasting, an oil change from Briggs, a $50 R.C. McGraw's gift card, and a t-shirt from Roberts Heating and Cooling. Weekly winners qualify for a full champion furnace and AC replacement, announced on Veterans Day. Nominate now at 1350kman.com. Just click the Hometown Heroes logo. Brought to you by Roberts Heating and Cooling and News Radio KMAN. Restrictions apply. Homeowners only. Equipment must be installed at primary residence and is non-transferable.
Fall into the season at Blueville Nursery. Add a pop of fall color to your porch with mums, annuals, and pumpkins. Cooler temperatures make fall a perfect time to plant, and we have a great selection of trees, shrubs, and perennials. September through October is the perfect time to seed cool season lawns. Don't forget to add Fertilome New Lawn Starter to get an extra boost. Plant fall bulbs in October to get an early dose of color next spring. Blueville Garden Store is open Monday through Saturday, 8 to 5. Come give us a visit at Blueville Nursery, where you'll always find the friendly smile and expert advice. Located at the corner of Scenic Drive in Anderson and Manhattan.
Are you prepared for the future? Ensuring your legacy and protecting your loved ones start with estate planning from Adair Law. From wills to trust to powers of attorney, the team at Adair Law will create a personalized plan that reflects your wishes and secures your assets for generations to come. Thinking about the future isn't always easy, but planning your estate can be. With Adair Law, you can protect what matters most, your family and your legacy. Don't leave their future to chance. Secure your peace of mind today with Adair Law. Protecting clients with compassion is what they do. Call 785-776-2000 today.
Hurry in and save big money now at Menards. Improve your home's appearance with a new ideal garage door. Choose from our large in-stock selection or design your own using our free Garage Door Designer. In-store or online. Save big on ideal garage doors. And don't forget to check out our weekly flyer on Menards.com for all the great deals happening now.
Save big money at Menards.
I'm Dan Patrick, and this is Above the Noise. After a hard-fought game Sunday, the Dolphins fell to 1-5, and the post-game storyline was almost as concerning as the loss itself. Rather than take accountability or redirect focus towards next week, quarterback Tua Tagovailoa chose to call out the lack of attendance at a Dolphins players-only meeting. Leadership in the NFL isn't just about reading coverages or throwing touchdowns. It's about owning the room, even when things are falling apart. You have a $200 million contract, and the expectation level is high. Produce and lead. Tua isn't doing either. And the strange part, players-only meetings are just that. They're run by players, not coaches, at the front office. So to bring that up publicly isn't holding others accountable. It's exposing the cracks in your own locker room. Maybe Tua thought he was sending a message, but in reality, the message is clear. The Dolphins are lost, and the guy who was meant to steer the ship is suddenly questioning the crew instead of commanding it. I'm Dan Patrick, and this is Above the Noise.
So my mother is thinking of switching from Verizon to Pure Talk, but she's worried the deal sounds too good to be true. Michael, she said, how can those Pure Talk people offer me the same basic service as Verizon for so much less money? I said, Ma, go ask Google how much Verizon spends on advertising and promotions. A few seconds later, my mother said, oh my goodness, $12 billion a year? That must be a typo. I'll tell you what I told my mom. It's not a typo. Verizon spends $12 billion a year on advertising and promotions, and their customers are paying for it. Well, Pure Talk doesn't spend that kind of money on commercials. Trust me, I would know. That's why they can offer you and my mother unlimited talk, text, and plenty of data on a crazy fast 5G network for just $25 a month. And if you're a business owner, you could really save a fortune. Dial pound 250, say the words Mike Rowe, and you'll get an additional 50% off your first month. That's pound 250 Mike Rowe. Pure Talk, everything you need and nothing you don't.
For area high school scores, recaps, league standings, and coach interviews, check out Scoreboard Saturday at 8 a.m. during football and basketball season, including coverage of the Centennial League, NCKL, Big East League, Flint Hills League, and the Twin Valley League. Scoreboard Saturday on News Radio KMAN is powered by WTC Communications.
I'm Gavin Hyatt with a Wildcat Insider Sports Update brought to you by Bottle Cap Sports Bar. For his 2-interception performance in K-State's 41-28 win over TCU, linebacker Des Purnell has been named the Big 12 Defensive Player of the Week. It is the first ever Conference Weekly award for Purnell and the first for a Wildcat defender since Kobe Savage against Texas Tech in 2023. Purnell had 8 tackles, 2 tackles for loss, and a sack and 2 pass breakups in addition to his 2 picks. On back-to-back plays in the third quarter, Purnell recorded an 8-yard sack before picking off a pass and returning its 25-yard pass for a touchdown. It was K-State's first pick 6 since current San Francisco 49ers Marquise Siegel returned an interception 43 yards for a score last year at West Virginia. The Big 12 and TNT Sports announced Monday that the Sunflower Showdown between K-State and KU in Lawrence on October 25th will kick at 11 a.m. and be shown on TNT with a simulcast on True TV and HBO Max. That means K-State will play its first game on Turner Sports property since playing Texas A&M on TBS in 2004. Kansas State basketball fans were for a bit of surprise Monday afternoon when they looked at preseason AP Top 25 and saw the Wildcat listed. K-State won't be ranked to open the year, but they did receive 13 votes, which would be good 31st. This comes after another offseason overhaul that saw the Wildcats bring in almost an entirely new roster under Jerome Tang.
Get the Nature Boy. Ric Flair's theme song bring us back into Wildcat Insider on KMAN. A couple of numbers I took away from this one for K-State over TCU. First of all, I mean, you got to bring up the numbers of Des Purnell. He's the Big 12 Defensive Player of the Week. That was announced by the Big 12 earlier today. He was the second leading tackler with 5, tied with Donovan McIntosh, who I thought had a good game. A little accent there for you. But Des also had a sack, the couple of tackles for loss, the 2 interceptions, the pick 6, 46 total yards in return yards. The other one was 21 yards. The pick 6 was 25 yards. Des Purnell, the Defensive Player of the Week for the Big 12. Chidi Obiazor's brother, Namdi, was the leading tackler for TCU. He had 11. Jamel Johnson with 10. You know, what I did really like is I mentioned it during PowerCat Game Day that and on the show last week, that K-State's defense needs to keep TCU one-dimensional, and they did. I felt for the most part that they did. 3.3 yards per carry. I put it up there on under further review. TCU is the worst team in the Big 12 at running the football, although they got their starting guy back, Kavorian Barnes, who runs for 81 yards on 12 carries. He was good. But the team, 3.3 yards per carry. The over-under was 3.5. The under does take it. According to my count, TCU had 3 big plays. That is obviously way better than, the 8 they gave up to UCF. How many do they have against Baylor? Like 6 or 7, it felt like. Some big plays there. Again, Trigg, the wide receiver for Baylor, had some big plays. And to me, this really wasn't – I don't know if there's a whole lot of stats in here that tell the story of the game. Garrett Oakley, it's more of his career stat than anything, had 2 touchdowns against TCU. Now the all-time leader for tight end touchdowns with now 11 in his career. Passes Ben Sinnott. Deron Tibbs, I thought 3 really nice catches in the game. J.B. Bradley had that great touchdown where he tapped the toe, and great throw by Avery Johnson. I mean, I think overall numbers, though, there's not a whole lot I think tells the story of the game on Saturday. I'll just point out again, though, I mean, K-State has been just so much of a better defense on 4th down. Here's another takeaway from Saturday's game. TCU doesn't have a kicker they trust. That really helped out K-State in moments be bend but not break, because they weren't going to roll out a kicker if they're not inside the 20, because they don't have a kicker that can consistently make medium to long field goals. So that made TCU go for 4th and mediums and 4th and longs in plus territory, and they were only successful on one of those, and it was the 4th and goal at the 1-yard line play. That was the only one they got all day. K-State held TCU 1 for 4 on 4th down. K-State was 2 for 2.
Yeah, I mean, as far as like numbers of the game, I think the only, and it's something that we've already talked about, but it's worth bringing up again. It's those points off turnovers, 17-0, huge.
Well, and K-State now for the 4th consecutive game has won the turnover battle.
Yeah,
and that was the first game this year. TCU, first game this year, K-State did not commit a turnover. The offense played a clean game. They played a clean game. Well, let's hear from Avery Johnson. Like we've rattled off, there was a lot of milestones. There was a lot of accolades this week for K-State, a lot of individual stuff going on for the Wildcats. Like I mentioned, Garrett Oakley, Des Purnell with 2 interceptions, a pick 6. Wesley Fair had a scoop and score touchdown, a first for him, a defensive touchdown. No doubt about it, his biggest play of his career, but who I think has had an up and down season. He's done some great things, but he's given up some touchdowns that he should probably play better on. But, Avery Johnson, it still feels like, and we have the evidence here on our text line to prove it, that a lot of the blame is on his shoulders. It goes to Matt Wells, it goes to Chris Kleiman, but if there's one player that has received maybe more heat than anybody else, believe it or not, is Avery Johnson, a player that's thrown for 13 touchdowns, over 1,500 yards, just 2 interceptions. Now, he's thrown some passes that are more turnover worthy, but I think he's been far from K-State's problem. And it was a very positive day for the offense despite a slow start. Only 2 3-and-outs on the day. They didn't turn over the football. And after the game, this was also an opportunity for Avery Johnson to talk about other players on the team stepping up. Here was Avery Johnson after the game as K-State beat TCU 41-28.
How did that feel, Avery?
Felt good. Felt good to win again, especially in front of our fans. It's been a couple weeks since we've won, so it was a really good feeling in the locker room.
How much easier does the defense make your job?
I mean, whenever you get 2 defensive touchdowns, you probably do the report on it, but you probably win like 99% of games. So good job for Wesley. Des played a really good game. Those dudes had a bunch of takeaways, and offensive line did a really good job today, being able to establish the run. They made my life a lot easier back there at quarterback.
Coach mentioned that this is an ascending football team right now. How does that make you feel?
Yeah, I think even with the Baylor loss last week, I think we played well enough to win. In games earlier this year when we lost, I didn't think we played very well. I think the past 3 weeks we put together some really good stuff on tape, but just got to figure out what is it going to take to win and just continue to take each week 1 week at a time and go 1-0.
After your first slide, after that you started kind of going forward there. Does that kind of change your mentality and give you a little bit more confidence around the ball?
Yeah, I just like the first one. I kind of on the third down, I kind of like naturally put my legs out, but I should have just dove. And then after that, I was like, all right, if I can't get anything more out of it, I'm just gonna dive forward, so that they don't mark me short. But yeah, I was really frustrated with myself being short of the marker on third down. Luckily, Coach trusted us, and they gave it to me again, and I was able to pick up the first down and keep the drive alive. But right now, just trying to figure out when to slide, when to dive, when to run through a tackle, and be the best runner I can be.
Talk about your connection with Garrett Oakley.
Yeah, Oaks played a great game today, and I pulled him aside, and we just talked, and we were like, man, we just got to have some fun. And I think a lot of times earlier in the year, I didn't give him as much credit as he deserves whenever he has one-on-one matchups. For him being able to win and be physical at the top of routes and get out of breaks, he's been open all year, but just these past few weeks I've trusted him a lot more, and he's holding up his end of it. So really just giving him a chance on balls, and he's done a great job with that.
Avery, what has Joe been doing good at running back the last 2 weeks?
He's running the ball hard and making the first defender miss. And we talk, like Coach BA talks about it a bunch. He's like, we have to make guys miss. We can't block them all. And when the offensive line blocks everybody but one, and it's the running backs guy, I think you saw it a lot with DJ last year, DJ being able to make the first defender miss a lot. And Joe and Dylan and some of those young guys have gotten a lot better at making the first guy miss, and Joe did a really good job of that today, and that's why he had such a good job, or had such a good game on the ground. But the offensive line blocked well too.
What do you like best about Des Purnell?
Man, Des is a warrior. He's a really good leader. He's super intense in practice and stuff like that. And he's somebody that you can compete with on the field and joke with and stuff in the locker room. And just being able to have a guy like that, he's capable of having a breakout game like he did this week, every week. So he just does things the right way and plays hard. And he was rewarded today being in the right spots and almost had a third interception. So
I know that you're looking at offensive stuff at that time, but you hear all the cheers and you see him start running into the end zone. What's that feeling like?
It was the best feeling in the world, because we come off of the side of the field after probably one of the worst 3-and-outs that we've had in a while. Really frustrated. Coach Wells is trying to get us right. He's talking to Tibbs, talking to me, just trying to get everything kind of figured out. And then you hear the crowd erupt, and Des is strutting into the end zone, and me and Coach Wells just looked at each other, and in that moment, there's nothing you can do but smile and just be happy because of the play Des made. So it was a lot of mixed emotions, a roller coaster, I kind of felt like on the sideline right there.
Once again, that's Avery Johnson after the game. One thought from that was he talked about him sliding. I asked the question right at the end of the press conference about being a needed adjustment for him to start sliding head first, and he kind of does. I don't know how to explain it. It's kind of like a little side slide. He kind of scoots the legs out a little too side. Well, I don't know how to explain it. It's not a typical slide you see in any sport. But it was more head first this time around, where he didn't pick up a third down. He was a yard short. They were going with the feet first slide. He made the adjustment. He picked up first downs. He was more aggressive. I do still want to see Avery be a little bit tougher. Not be afraid to take some contact. Just lower those shoulder pads. Get ready to go pick up a first down. Be aware where you're at. And I think he did take a big step in that direction against TCU. When we come back, we talk a little K-State soccer. Head coach Colleen Corbin joins us next on Wildcat Insider.
You're listening to Wildcat Insider.
In Manhattan, building community means more than bricks and beams. It means innovation and partnership. At McCown Gordon Construction, we deliver feature-focused solutions to projects that shape our region. From advanced research labs to vibrant education, healthcare, and community hubs. We're not just building projects, we're building the future of the Flint Hills with unmatched customer experience and value-driven strategies. We're building for tomorrow. Visit kansas.mccown-gordon.com.
Don't miss Tony Award-nominated star of stage and film Matthew Morrison. Known as Mr. Schuster in Fox's Golden Globe-winning television show Glee at Kansas State University's McCain Auditorium. Matthew Morrison presents his new show, Rhythms and Revelations, October 21st at 7:30 p.m. Buy tickets by phone or click online. Sponsored by Shelley Carver at Edward Jones.
Come on home to West Loop and Manhattan's West Side.
Tommy's Express Car Wash. Live brighter.
Bottle Caps, where locals gather on Manhattan's West Side for good times. Village Plaza West.
Smoothie King. Rule the day.
Visit some old friends, discover some new. Come home to West Loop and Manhattan's West Side.
Manhattan Broadcasting is an equal opportunity employer. In order to widely publicize our job opportunities and outreach programs and organizations that regularly distribute information to job seekers or refers candidates to employers, please contact us about our employment contact list to receive the most current information about station vacancies. For more information or to be added to the list, please contact Manhattan Broadcasting Company at 785-776-1350. Visit us at 2414 Casement Road in Manhattan, Kansas, or email frontdesk@1350kman.com.
The Ramsey Show.
So we're thinking about getting married. I had talked to her about just going down to the courthouse quick, getting it done, and then later on, after we're completely debt-free, saving up and having a big ceremony. But I can't quite convince her. I wanted to do it as cheap as possible.
He's so romantic.
You're such a guy.
Don't let Elvis be the officiator of the wedding.
You don't want the Elvis wedding? Come on.
Life and money advice. The Ramsey Show, weekdays from 10 to 1 on News Radio KMAN. News Radio KMAN. Weather.
Currently in Manhattan, overcast skies with 63. Tonight, cloudy with a low of around 61 with a 30% chance of showers after 2 a.m. Mostly cloudy with the high near 76 on Tuesday with a 30% chance of showers before 10 a.m. Tuesday night, mostly cloudy with a low of around 63. Wednesday, mostly sunny with a high near 84. Wednesday night, mostly clear with a low of around 61. Thursday, sunny with a high near 81.
Gavin, I need the cooler temperatures. It's fall time, man. We're getting close to Halloween. I wanted to hear highs of 60s, not 80s. Man. Hopefully we're getting there soon. Hey, K-State soccer this past weekend went to Stillwater, Oklahoma on Friday. Get win number 1 in Big 12 play, knocking off the Cowgirls of Oklahoma State 2-1 with a comeback win. And we're now joined by K-State soccer coach Colleen Corbin. Coach, first of all, you spend time in the Northwest. Is cool days and nights, is that more your climate, or do you like the hot weather?
Definitely a sweater weather kind of girl. So this is a little warmer than what I would prefer, but I will say after spending a few years in Laramie, Wyoming, and having to be in the 30s this time of year, I would much rather prefer the 80s right now. So, beggars can't be choosers.
Well, it was a lot of fun following along with your win this past Friday, the comeback win. Hannah Palmer scores 2 goals in the second half. Just how did it feel to get that first win in the Big 12 play as the head coach of K-State?
Yeah, it was awesome. I mean, obviously in dramatic fashion, and I don't think anyone would have preferred that it was that hard, but also at the same time, I think it shows a lot about the grit and the resilience that this team is continuing to build and the confidence they're continuing to generate for themselves. And it was just really fun to watch that belief really never waver. I think the group really felt like we could earn a result from the start of the game and obviously face some adversity right away. We kind of shot ourselves in the foot from the jump and caused our own problems, and it turned into a goal for them to start the game. And, again, in another lifetime, that might have been the dagger, but I think if anything, it really fueled our team to just kind of come together and be like, right, well, now we got to score 2 if we're going to win this thing. So it was the most shots that a K-State soccer team has generated in a Big 12 match. So I think that just kind of, again, emphasizes the belief and the resilience that the team showed on the day.
Yeah, the shots 25-9. What the numbers say is you guys, you really dominated on offense. You had the most chances, of course. You had 10 corners to their 2. The highlights obviously show Hannah Palmer scoring the 2 goals, had the PK, and then had that bit of a miscommunication for Oklahoma State, and you guys are able to capitalize and take the lead. What else was a part of that story of the comeback, like prior to those goals and maybe even prior to the second half? Who or how were you guys able to just be so good on offense and create so many opportunities?
It's definitely something that we've emphasized the last few weeks within the group. Our defensive presence generates a lot of our offensive momentum, so we knew that we needed to be solid as far as our defensive presence goes, and we did generate a lot of attacking moments out of our defensive pressure, which is a big part of our identity, so that was fun to see. But then also just, our confidence and our discipline with the ball and not being frantic, not feeling like we just had to lump it forward and go chase the game. Watching it back on film was really, really fun, honestly, just seeing, again, the confidence and the creativity with the ball and no one really ever feeling stressed or panicked, even when we were really under pressure. And just making some really mature decisions with the ball, I think, was really, again, a big growth area for us and just fun to watch back and exciting to be a part of in real time.
Prior to the trip to Stillwater, I think it was 5 days, if I'm doing my math correctly, you guys went to Orlando, played UCF. That was a 0-0 draw. How'd you feel about that performance?
Yeah, that one, sometimes in our game, I know to the general public, a 0-0 tie is not exciting and feels disappointing. And I think sometimes in our sport, a tie can feel like a win and a tie can feel like a loss. And I know to start the year, us tying Colorado felt like a win. That was a big one for us. And against a high-flying offense that Colorado has, to walk away with a 0-0 result felt really, really good. And I think the 0-0 tie against UCF kind of felt the opposite. I think our kids were disappointed to not get a win and felt like we could have. And so, against a team that in UCF had a really high, I think their RPI at the time was around 21 or 22, it would have been a huge strength of schedule result for us. But, again, walking away feeling like we could have put the game on ice. We could have put it away early. We had a lot of goal scoring opportunities and didn't really allow them to have a ton offensively. Like I said, I think the team was disappointed and hungry after that game. So just really happy for them to, again, put the pieces together and show up with a belief and a mentality in the next game and, again, get a result against Oklahoma State.
Coach, it feels like you've had the same players, you've had the same leadership, really step up a lot throughout this season and make some plays. Hannah Palmer is a great example of that. And you don't seem like a coach that really likes to change the game plan a whole lot, or the approach that you had at the beginning of the season and this late into the year. Have you had to change your game plan or the way you focus on games at all this year?
No, not at all. I think for me as a head coach coming in and taking over this program, one of the things that I was really intent on was making sure that our group believed in our identity and who we are and how we do things. And, I think everyone, right, is going to look at the opponent and kind of try to figure out what their nuances are and maybe, where are their blind spots, where are their weak spots, and where do we feel like they can also punish us. And so being able to kind of talk through those things with the team, but never feeling like we're going to change who we are or what we do, no matter who we're playing, I think has been a big growth area for the team as well. I think historically, K-State soccer, was very adaptable in situations where, this team plays this formation, so we need to show up this way. But the result of that is never really feeling like our kids had a real identity in who they were and what they were doing, just constantly pivoting to adjust to other programs. And so that has definitely, again, been a big growth area for our group. And it's been exciting to watch them compete against some of the top programs in the country doing what we do and doing it at a high level. And, I think the TCU game is a really good example of that. We came out in the first half and we were scared and we were late on the press and just not super confident in who we were. And I think, again, we got a little shook by the name on the jersey on the other side of the field. But, we go into halftime and it's still 0-0, and just kind of lighting a fire under the team and saying, hey, this is one of the best teams in the country, and, it's 0-0 at halftime, and there's no reason you can't go out and, have a second go at it and really, really just take pride in who you are and do what you do. And so then watching the team come out in the second half and really put them under pressure and generate some offense and gain some confidence in that, obviously unfortunate to give up a goal late in the game in that one, but just watching the group continue to gain confidence in who we are and what we're doing. And we have switched up the lineup a little bit. The team knows that none of that is ever set in stone. We rely heavily on every single person in our team, and we're constantly making evaluations and figuring out, how to put the best group together in different situations and who's going to be the game changer coming off the bench that's going to give us momentum. And so it's been, fluid from that standpoint, but in terms of, again, our mentality and our game plan, the kids know, again, exactly who we are and exactly what we're doing. And it's just about, pivoting and adjusting our game plan to be able to beat the opponent.
Can't believe there's only 5 matches left in the regular season, but I tell you what, there's a lot of opportunities, I feel like, to get some points and stay in the hunt for a Big 12 championship, as in Big 12 tournament spot coming up here. That will be just a few weeks away. So, Coach, beach night on Thursday against Cincinnati. We'll see you at the ballpark on Thursday. Good luck on against the Bearcats.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's a big one, and so hopefully we'll get a lot of support out from the community and from the fans. I appreciate everything you guys do for our team.
Yep. Thank you, Coach. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you. Go Cats.
That's K-State soccer head coach Colleen Corbin. Yeah, beach night. I can do a beach. I can do a margarita, a pina colada on the beach, and I like the mountains too.
Yeah, and it may not be too cold, so you might be able to reasonably think you are on the beach.
I'd probably get that. It'd be warm, but like maybe a cool wind, which totally makes sense. If you
enjoy that.
Yeah,
absolutely,
for sure.
Absolutely.
All right, we got to take a timeout. We'll take a real quick break. We'll try to do some last week in the Big 12 after these words.
You're listening to Wildcat Insider.
The Trust Company is an independent, locally owned wealth management and investment company founded right here in Manhattan in 1992. The motivation that drives your financial goals, your life, is unique to you and your family. You won't find boilerplate, template-driven, off-the-shelf financial services and strategies at the Trust Company, but plans thoughtfully and individually designed, tailored specifically to your hopes and dreams. The Trust Company, locally owned, client-focused. Our only allegiance is to you. Visit thetrustco.com.
Orthopedic and Sports Medicine Center offers innovative, cutting-edge physical therapy, from blood flow restriction rehabilitation, dry needling, DARI-A biochemical movement analysis, fall prevention, and return to sport. OSMC Physical Therapy has over 75 years of combined treatment experience and deliver a successful and positive outcome while making the rehabilitation process pleasant and enjoyable. At Orthopedic and Sports Medicine Physical Therapy, no referrals are needed to schedule your therapy appointment. For more information, visit us at kansasortho.com.
Why drive hours to catch a flight? Manhattan Regional Airport brings the world closer, right from your backyard. Enjoy the convenience of flying local, with daily service to Chicago and Dallas, making global connections easier than ever. Fast, friendly, stress-free. Soar from Manhattan, Kansas, and get closer to where you want to be. Fly smart. Fly local. Fly MHK.
Metalark's 3 community programs are designed with you in mind and offer free resources for those navigating Parkinson's, memory changes, or cancer. Whether you're seeking education, movement classes, or meaningful connection, our community programs offer support for every stage of your cancer, Parkinson's, and memory loss experience. Open to all in the Flint Hills region, Metalark's community programs are here when you need them. Visit metalark.org to learn more.
Stop. Look no further than Buck Roofing. For nearly 20 years, Buck has specialized in top-quality roofing, installation, and repairs for residential and commercial properties. Call for a free, no-obligation estimate. 785-230-9379.
Tim, last week in the Big 12, how about we start in Lubbock?
Let's do it.
You know, KU made it a game in the second quarter, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a 21-0 run for Texas Tech. Then Kansas scores 17 unanswered. And then a Texas Tech running back by the last name of Dickey runs for 263 yards and 2 touchdowns. Texas Tech does not have Baron Morton, so Will Hammond comes back in and just happens to be a spark again.
We knew what happened. We knew that he would have to be a factor again, and he was. So
Morton is injury prone.
You know, KU did. You know, they gave it. A lot of teams are going to run into the Texas Tech wall. Was there something about Lance Leipold getting upset about some tortillas?
Yes. Oh my God, lackluster Lance. Like, why are we old man screaming at clouds? Like, just got all pissed off with Joey McGuire. Like, he can just. There was that clip of a white hat at a UNLV game, just went like right up to the band and said, "Stop playing when the other team's about to snap the football." I think that's what he wanted Joey McGuire to do. It's like, because Lance was pretty frustrated with Texas Tech because of the tortillas being thrown after the kickoff. Like, why are you getting upset with that? It's going to be a penalty on Texas Tech. You could have probably used any 15 yards you could get. Yeah. Especially in that second half where you just got your butts kicked.
It's a tortilla, guys. Just ignore it.
Jalen Daniels got sacked 8 times. You could have used any help you could have gotten. Bring on the tortillas. Give me the 15-yard penalties if I'm Lance Leipold.
But hey, what a second quarter.
Yeah, great second quarter. That's who K-State has next. Look, despite the loss, it's still going to be a tough game to go into Lawrence and win that contest. But KU now 4-3. Texas Tech a perfect 6-0 for the first time since 2013. I believe they're now up to number 7 in the country. We had BYU in overtime, 2 overtimes. They got a comeback win against Arizona, 33-27. Arizona just could not put it away. BYU, they were really clutch late, down 10 points. They tied the game with 19 seconds to go.
Credit to Arizona for being in this one. I completely thought that they were going to get steamrolled. I don't think much of Arizona, but BYU. Kalani Sitake's like 5-1 in overtime games, so that they know how to win.
By the way, I do believe Arizona finally gave up a passing touchdown. May have to double check that, but I'm pretty sure they did.
I'm pretty sure you're correct.
It would have been for the first time this year that Arizona gave up a passing touchdown. Arizona State at Utah. Utah just runs over Arizona State 42-10, even though Arizona State did not have Sam Leavitt in this game, which I wasn't expecting. I know they had a bunch of guys banged up. I think I went Utah win, but a Arizona State cover. This was an absolute blowout. Devin Dampier, he ran for like $120 and 3 touchdowns. They were just pretty unstoppable throughout the day. Arizona State's defense did not step up.
If Sam Leavitt's out long term, that's bad news for Arizona State because Jeff Sims ain't it.
We are now witnessing Iowa State's season collapse.
Crumble.
Because they lost to Colorado 24-17. There was a key interception in the fourth quarter. The Buffs have 17 players ruled out for that game. Holy crap. I didn't realize that on the availability report. UCF falls at Cincinnati 20-11. I think we expected Cincinnati to win that game. Houston wins at Oklahoma State 39-17 as the Cowboys started a wide receiver at quarterback. Sam Jackson, who was previously in his career a quarterback, then made the move to wide receiver, now just basically made the move back. They led 7-0.
Second string Oklahoma State quarterback is Banks Bowen, former Lawrence High quarterback, son of Clint Bowen.
Oh, wow.
So that's where things are right now in Stillwater.
Hour 2 coming up next.
Manhattan's first for news, sports, weather, and talk. Since 1950, this is News Radio KMAN, Manhattan.
CBS News special report. President Trump traveled to the Middle East today where he signed a Gaza peace deal.
Can we get the documents, please?
He spoke first in Israel, then traveled to Egypt, where world leaders had gathered to work on the steps ahead in the peace process.
Together we've achieved what everybody said was impossible. At long last, we have peace in the Middle East, and it's a very simple expression, peace in the Middle East, and we've heard it for many years, but nobody thought it could ever get there, and now we're there.
Reporter Robert Berger in Jerusalem.
The fact that the hostages are back, that the war is finally ending, that reservists are going to be able to get out and get back to their jobs, I think people are hoping that maybe life can gradually get back to normal and that the nation can rebuild.
Some tough issues remain: the disarmament of Hamas and Israel's complete withdrawal, as well as who will govern Gaza. CBS News special report. I'm Cammie McCormick.
Now, the latest news from the News Radio KMAN and Manhattan Mercury Newsroom.
An investigation continues into a weekend shooting in Manhattan. K-State officials cut the ribbon on a new rodeo arena, and multiple people injured in a morning crash in northern Riley County. Hello, I'm Brandon Peoples. That is our top story here this hour. 5 people were hurt this morning in a 4-car crash west of Lasida Road on U.S. Highway 24 in northern Riley County. The Kansas Highway Patrol says the crash happened around 8:30 this morning when a Nissan Sentra driven by 20-year-old Ella Thalman of Palmer rear-ended a Ford Focus stopped to turn left, which was driven by 61-year-old Brian Shane of Alta Vista. The impact pushed Thalman's car into a westbound Dodge Ram driven by 33-year-old Trevor Clark of Manhattan. Thalman, along with Brian and Jackie Shane, were all seriously injured in the crash. All 3 of them were transported to hospitals in Manhattan and Topeka. 2 others, 21-year-old Peyton Taylor and 23-year-old passenger Martin Dillon, both of Clay Center, sustained just minor injuries in the crash. Clark and his passenger, 26-year-old Cameron Cooper of St. George, were not hurt. The crash remains under further investigation. An investigation continues into the shooting of a man Saturday at a northeast Manhattan apartment complex. The Riley County Police Department says a 35-year-old man was seriously injured after being shot multiple times at the Country Meadow Apartments in the 1300 block of East Marlatt Avenue. The victim, who was taken to a Topeka hospital, has not been publicly identified as of yet as police continue their investigation. The shooting happened sometime around 2 o'clock Saturday. Police received several reports of gunfire in that area. Further details, including the name of the person or persons responsible for the shooting, are still pending. Authorities are investigating a home burglary reported Saturday afternoon in Manhattan. Riley County Police were called out to the 400 block of Walters Drive, where a 51-year-old woman claimed that someone broke into her home and stole a safe that contained a large amount of cash. In fact, police estimate the loss to be at just over $10,000. Anyone with information is asked to contact RCPD or Manhattan Riley County Crime Stoppers. The K-State Rodeo will have a new home coming up this February. University officials cut the ribbon Friday on the new $20 million Bilbrey Family Event Center after nearly 2 years of construction. College of Agriculture Dean Dan Moser says the new arena is expected to be a destination location for agricultural events throughout the region. He says there's also an educational piece to the new facility.
It'll start with teaching, and we'll have classes particularly involving equine activities, horses here. This is a world-class place for doing hands-on teaching. Behind us is a classroom. We've got all kinds of spaces here so we can connect students with animals and help them think about careers there.
Executive Vice President for External Engagement, Marshall Stewart.
Whatever state of the art is right now, it's in this facility. Everything from the way it's designed, everything about the experience, the way the fans can interact with the participants, everything about that is right now state of the art.
The new event center has a seating capacity of 3,000. It replaces Weber Arena, which was demolished as part of K-State's ongoing overhaul of facilities within the College of Agriculture. Kansas will not be drawn into a fight over professional sports in Kansas City. That according to Governor Laura Kelly, who joined News Radio KMAN's Within Reason on Friday. Kansas and Missouri have been in what some call a border war as the Sunflower State tries to woo the Kansas City Chiefs and the Kansas City Royals across the state line. The two states had a truce related to economic development projects, but that agreement expired in August. The governor was flying to Spain over the weekend in an effort to recruit international businesses to Kansas. Despite this, she says talks are underway and sports teams are not like other businesses.
They're not AMC theaters, which had their headquarters and kept moving it back and forth across the border as time went on. Those kinds of things, we agreed not to do and we have not done. This is different, and so negotiations are going on.
Just last week, the Kansas Reflector reported Kansas built a $26 million fund, most of which comes from sports gambling to attract pro teams. And Tuesday is the final day for Kansas residents to register ahead of the November 4th general election. Advanced voting by mail and in person at county office buildings begins on Wednesday and continues through noon on November 3rd. There are 9 candidates seeking 3 spots on the Manhattan City Commission, 5 candidates seeking 3 spots on the Manhattan-Ogden School Board.
K-Man News brought to you by L&L Advisors. Local, genuine, and here for you.
News Radio, KMAN, weather.
Currently in Manhattan, 63 with overcast skies. Tonight, cloudy with a low of around 61 with a 30% chance of showers after 2 a.m. Tuesday, cloudy with a high near 76 with a 30% chance of showers, mainly before 10 a.m. Tomorrow night, mostly cloudy with a low of around 63. Wednesday, mostly sunny with a high near 84, and mostly clear skies with a low of around 61 Wednesday night. Thursday, sunny with a high near 81.
Weather on News Radio KMAN is brought to you by Sunset Zoo. Purchase your tickets for Boo at the Zoo happening the 24th through the 26th at sunsetzoo.com.
It's hour 2. Wildcat Insider, Mitch Fortner, Tim Everson, Cole Dutchendorf, Gavin Hyatt. Last two I just mentioned there. Across the glass on camera. If you're watching us on YouTube, appreciate you tuning in. Make sure to give us hit that subscribe button. All the buttons you can push. Just go ahead and hit them all.
Hit them all.
See what happens. Live your life. Have a good time. We're with you until 6 o'clock. Wyatt Thompson will be joining us here in just a second. Plus, we'll hear from Chris Kleiman and a few players here in a little bit as well this hour. Reaction to the win on Saturday against TCU. Final score, 41-28. Want to give a shout out to our show sponsor. It's presented by Bottle Cap Sports Bar. They have Singo tomorrow night. It's Animal Song Singo, so I guess all the songs have something to do with animals, or bands have something to do with animals.
Yes, yeah, and super fun. If you haven't gone out there and do it, I'm a little biased because I did help design their Singo, but definitely get out there. It's a lot of fun. And Taco Tuesday. Delicious, delicious tacos.
Yes, sir. And Halloween. They're having a big Halloween party. It's an annual event called Halloween Havoc, and the band M31 will be performing live. They play rock and roll and blues music, and as soon as I'm done with Manhattan High football that night, I'm heading out to Bottle Cap Sports Bar, and we got a comment today. Mitch, get a haircut. I'm not cutting my hair because I'm thinking about going as a Beatle.
Oh, I like that.
I got shaggy, long black hair. It's going over the ears and everything. It's not trim whatsoever. If it is, it doesn't look great.
Which Beatle?
Any of them.
Well, you got to pick one.
One hour I might be Paul. Another hour I'm going to be George. And then Ringo. And then John. And then Pete. Pete was the original drummer of the Beatles. Pete Best. All right. We ready to go? All right. Now, pleased to be joined by, I don't know if he's a big Beatles fan, but I do know he's the voice of K-State football. He's a Hall of Famer, and he now joins us here on the show, Wyatt Thompson. Wyatt, do you like the Beatles?
I did like the Beatles a lot, yeah. I'm not the biggest Beatles fan ever. I think that title would go to one of my really good high school friends. Just diehard, knows everything, probably could win almost any Beatles contest in terms of trivia ever. But I always had great respect for what they accomplished and how they did it, and the writing ability of John and Paul were crazy. I mean, way ahead of their time.
Do you remember the first piece of music you ever bought?
That I ever bought?
Yeah, a record or whatever.
I don't know that I remember the first one I bought. I remember my parents both were music people. I was in music and like junior high and high school and stuff, but I don't know that I remember the very first album or 45 that I bought, but I would guess it would probably be, if I'm just guessing, I'm probably going to throw out probably a country album. Like I was a big, well, not just me, my entire family, you know the name Merle Haggard?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Could have been Johnny Cash, either one of those types of people probably, but I don't remember exactly which one.
Well, we got a win on Saturday, 41-28, the final over TCU. Do you agree with Chris Kleiman? Was this an all-around best performance by this team?
I think probably so, just because of the way they, scored the 2 defensive touchdowns. That was really a big deal. I felt like even though they didn't put a ton of yards together, I thought offensively they played really pretty well. I was so excited to have J.B. Bradley back in the lineup. I think he makes a difference for K-State. I'm sure you probably agree with that too. Probably made up at least a little bit for the lack of Dylan Edwards. But excited for Dez, excited for a lot of people, but that was a much-needed thing, man. It wasn't perfect. This team has been far from that, but it was exciting to see another packed house. I got to tip my cap to K-State Nation for that, man. They've really they've shown out, haven't they?
Yeah, another sellout, and I was a little worried about that one. I think it was close as we got close to kickoff, but you're right. The Cats fans did show up.
How about Joe Jack? Did you like that one?
Yeah, I asked him after the game, Wyatt. I was like, did you feel like you guys had to earn every single yard? Because that's a tough defense. I give the TCU defense more credit than maybe they get. I think they're above average. That was a grind for him to get all 110 of those yards.
I thought it was, and I think with just to comment on the TCU defense, I thought that they were quite a bit tougher to move the ball on, whether it was running or throwing, than say, Baylor. And I'm not picking on Baylor, but, I mean, keep in mind K-State had over 500 yards in that game. This was a little bit more difficult to come by. But I just think maybe, all phases, number of people involved, big plays, that type of stuff. I just felt like it was right there. Maybe it was just because it felt so good to bounce back after such a gut punch. Maybe that's part of it too. Who knows?
Well, with Joe Jack, is he passing the eye test for you, as in he just looks like he's running harder? I don't want to use the word effort. It's just like maybe his fundamentals are just clicking a little better.
Well, that could be, but I do think he admitted to us on our network post-game show that in the last couple of games he's been running with more, I guess I'll say, purpose and effort. And you can tell it. I think Joe, like a lot of the guys, kind of lost their way there a little bit early in the season when things weren't going so well. It's one thing to lose the game to Iowa State, but then you take those first 4 games, it was just not, they were just playing below what I believe that they are. And I don't know that I am smart enough to give you all of the answers as to why, but I just didn't. I felt like, it was hard to get out of that rut. I don't know if it was, the Ireland curse, or I even hate to call it that, but a lot of people had talked about, the hangover, so to speak. Maybe that's the better word. And I think in retrospect, maybe there was a little bit of that, and I think they've, at least tried to kind of rebound and get straightened back out. Again, it's a defense that is giving up too many plays. You have an offense that still at times is, not what we hoped it would be this year for probably multiple reasons. But I did like the fight of the group, and it was fun to see them play and beat a pretty decent football team. I don't think a great team, but a pretty decent team.
Was there a moment or a handful of moments or a sequence of the game that you felt like was the most important for K-State to win the game? Would you say it was the Des Purnell plays?
Well, that's a really good, an interesting thought, because I think you could probably look at it at a lot of different angles and ways. But I thought what K-State did best, this may sound a little bit odd to you, was not panic after they were the better team in the first quarter and it was still 0-0. Does that sound odd? Because I do think that they've struggled from time to time with things like that. They were, at least in my opinion, I thought they were definitely the team that was the better team in the first 15 minutes. They had much more opportunity to score. They had way better field position, and yet they really didn't take advantage of it. But it's hard to argue too, though, with play the Des made to make it 14-7, because you're down 7-0, and it seemed like in a blink of an eye you're up and have the momentum. Maybe that's what you're saying too, and I get it. Trust me, I get it.
Well, let me ask you another tough question. Do you feel like this team is now starting to find its identity? I mean, to me, it kind of just feels like they're getting back to finding the same success they had last year. Like, for example, the tight ends are now, feels like they're way more involved now, especially with Garrett is getting a ton of targets now.
He is. That's a fair and interesting thought, I think. They were so good last year in scoring touchdowns and were really difference-making in the red zone. And of course, Garrett got the record there on Saturday. If people aren't aware of that, he's got 11 career touchdowns now. That's number one at K-State for tight ends. That we've had a lot of good tight ends here, Mitch. You know that, and so that says a lot. But I do think he has expanded his game too, don't you? I mean, he had a lot of good work on Saturday, and it wasn't just 6-7 yard throws. I mean, he was getting down the field a little bit. I'm going to repeat myself here, but I'm glad that Bradley is back, because I think it makes those other guys around him better. I don't think we saw Jace Brown play to his capabilities, but I do think he's battling a little bit of an injury, and at least he was out there and gave them something. And I think with in unison, I think it can be a pretty good group. And maybe one of the things that I'm most excited about, though, is that I do think the offensive line is, I guess I'll struggle to say this maybe the right way, starting to kind of try to find some things. They're not perfect either, but I think Devin Bass has helped. I think Sam Hecht has played better. Pastore's done a really nice job. Last couple of 2 or 3 games, I think even he would probably tell you that Portier's played much better football than he did early for whatever reason. Lane Gang does a solid job. You're getting more, from Gus Hawkins than you did early, and Devin, it just makes a difference. So don't you think they are run blocking better?
Yeah, we talked a little bit about in the first half. I was trying to watch them as best as I could.
Yeah, it's hard. On
Saturday, that's just typically, with my job, that's typically not where my eyes are. I got to follow where the football's going. I do feel like, yes, they're getting push, certainly more than they were previously, right? I would just like to see them get more to the second level. I think that's what's missing right now.
That's probably true. And it's going to get harder. You're on the road next time out. You've got Tech after that. They are really, really good at the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. You still, got some pretty good teams down the road there. Colorado's improving. You've got to go to Utah as an example. So, yeah, I think, winning that game was important for a lot of reasons, but I do think, again, after the loss at Waco, I've tried not to think about it this way, but I do. What would we be feeling like today had they won, like they probably could have or should have, the Baylor game, and now all of a sudden you're 4-3, and you're 3-1 in the league? Holy Toledo, a lot different, right?
Well, the way
perception some people say perception's everything, and that may be fair or true, but at least they're hanging in there and fighting. But boy, had they won that game, and they probably should have, maybe it'd be a different look, and you'd even be more optimistic, I guess is my point.
Yeah, that's to use what Coach Kleiman said after the Baylor game, maybe some woulda, coulda, shouldas. That's where it kind of lingers with the Baylor game. If you find a way to not lose by a point and somehow Luis gets that field goal off, or somewhere you just play better in that second half down the stretch, that you win that game. But the way I've been looking at it is basically since the loss to Arizona is, well, after each game now, how am I feeling about our chances against KU and Lawrence? Because that's where the season is. Just don't lose to KU. I will give them this. Since they beat TCU, they were the better team for most of that game. That, yes, I am feeling a little bit better about it, even after the Baylor loss, but I'm still nervous.
Well, and you know what? You should be nervous. And I'll give you a lot of reasons why, or just a couple here, I suppose. If you go back and you watch, I don't know how much you saw the KU at Tech game, the Tech was pretty much kicking them around and knocking them around and dominating, and yet it was 21-17 at halftime. That would tell you that I think they too have had some games where they've had some fortune and misfortune. They were pretty fortunate, as an example, to win the game at UCF. Don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, they needed it was the second half, right? That's where they...
Yeah. I mean, but the point is, though, is the games against them in the last 2 years have been tight and tense, and this one should be, too. You're typical in terms of K-Stater in the importance put on this particular game. We all get that, and so you do worry about it. I have no problem telling you I want to win this game, and I want to win it really bad, but for 1,000 reasons. But being KU is probably number one at the list, right? Is that what you're saying? That's what I think most people that love K-State really would tell you, right?
Yeah,
so, it's huge.
I'm just happy that I know this could be easy to say it any week, but I guess I'm glad the bye week is now. Your second bye week that you have, and they still have another one to go. That, especially with K-State's injuries at the skill positions, I know that's not going to make a difference on Toby, unfortunately. It sounds like he's done for the year. But if there is a chance to get Dylan back and Jace is healthier, boy, am I going to feel way better about our chances.
That's perfectly said, Mitch. I think, and you also, in addition to that, a lot of people will talk about this, but what will each team get out of the bye week? How much do they put in, to this? How do they perform when you get right down to it? Because it is the rivalry game. They've been talking about it forever. This is their year to finally get K-State, right? So you're going to get their best shot over there. I don't think there's any question about that. Now, they may not play perfect, but effort-wise, I think they'll bring it. Let's say it that way. So you've got a lot going there, and should make for a couple of pretty interesting weeks leading up to the showdown.
Well, winning 2 of the last 3 tells me most of the guys are still bought in, and there's enough Kansas kids on this team. There's enough Kansas kids on the 2 deep that I don't think motivation should be a problem.
No, I don't think motivation is ever a problem because, and I was visiting with a guy earlier today about the program and just, kind of how things are right now. This season, I mean, it's obvious to say that this season has not gone like everybody had hoped. That's the no-brainer side of it. But I think you make a really, really good point in that this has always been really important and special to the fan base, but to those Kansas players, and trust me when I tell you, they relay that to those other guys, and they believe me, they know it, right? I can see, as an example, based on Saturday, you don't think Desmond Purnell is telling all those Texas kids, we got to get this one?
Oh, for sure.
Damn right he is.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
Well, Wyatt, I'm sure we'll talk way more about this game next week. we'll get more information from Kleiman. Maybe we'll get some good news on injuries. And the countdown still lives on. The streak is still alive for now. And bye week, and then KU at 11 a.m. a week from Saturday.
You knew that game was going to be at 11 o'clock, didn't you?
I had no clue.
I just thought from the first time I found out that we were going to broadcast the Mizzou exhibition game, Columbia, Missouri, Friday night at 9 o'clock, the football game would be at 11. And that's how it played out. And you know what? I'm not going to complain at all. I decided to do both.
Why is that Mizzou game starting so late?
It's an SEC network doubleheader, game at 7.
Okay.
I don't even know the first game, to be honest with you. I'll try to know that by next week. But then K-State, Mizzou after that. And we're involved with it, and TV's involved with it because it's K-State, Mizzou, but it's also, it's my understanding anyway, that they're going to come back and play over here next year. So that'll be kind of neat too.
So you're going to go from Columbia straight to Lawrence that night?
Well, I would guess we'll probably get about 2 hours of sleep in between at Stan's house, is my guess. We haven't finalized plans, but you think about a 9 o'clock tip, probably going to get out of there about midnight-ish, and then a couple of hours back to Kansas City, and we will usually get to the yard about 2 hours prior to airtime, which is 9, so that makes it 7. Start to do the math. It'll be a short night. But you know what? We'll be thinking about the football game after the basketball game anyway, so sleep's overrated in this crossover season. You know that. Right?
Yeah, I just hope old Lance Leipold is still thinking about tortillas when we kick off in 2 weeks.
I'm with you. Let's put that in his brain somehow.
All right, Wyatt, we'll talk to you soon. Thank you for your time.
Yes, sir, buddy. Anytime.
That's the voice of the Cats, Wyatt Thompson, joining us here on Wildcat Insider. Let's take a time out. I do want to talk a little basketball a little bit later on because your Wildcats are receiving votes. Talking about the men's side in the AP Top 25. But it's not like votes from like multiple people. It's like one guy voting for K-State. I'll tell you where that was at. And K-State women's basketball is going to be playing a pretty decent amount of nationally televised basketball this year. When we come back, we're going to hear from Chris Kleiman, some players' reaction to the win over TCU is coming up next. Wildcat Insider.
You're listening to Wildcat Insider.
Whether it's game day or a night out with great live music, Bottle Cap Sports Bar delivers the atmosphere you're looking for. It's Manhattan's go-to spot for catching every Wildcats or Chiefs game and enjoying live music that plays the songs you actually know. Come early for a good seat, great music, and cold drinks served up right. Stay in the loop. Check out their Facebook page for the full schedule of events. Bottle Caps, where the music's live, the game's always on, and the vibe is just right.
Bottle Cap Sports Bar located on West Anderson across from Dairy Queen.
Spice up your event with Qdoba Catering. Our burrito bowls, nachos, and salads will taste oh so delicioso with juicy smoked brisket and adobo marinated grilled chicken. Fresh fajita veggies and hand-smashed guac will add a burst of flavor to your meal. Place your order today. Qdoba, united by flavor.
Feed your team with a Qdoba tailgate pack. Touchdown with our nacho bar. Get your game day rolling with a 10-pack of burritos. Or snack for the win with chips and queso or hand-smashed guac. Order online or give us a call.
It's hard to understand people on TV, so you use closed caption because you can't understand or hear them. Guess what? You don't have to live like that. I know because I solved my hearing loss with the help of hearing aids from Focus Hearing, a locally owned hearing center that offers all major brands. They accept all Medicare plans and have better pricing than the national franchises. Let Focus Hearing let you hear again. 913-380-4200 or online at myfocushearing.com.
It's back to school, and Ashley Furniture is helping you gear up in style. Whether it's a new desk for homework time, a comfy bed for a good night's rest, or stylish storage to keep it all organized, we've got what you need at unbeatable prices. Locally owned and operated, we're proud to serve the Manhattan community with furniture for every room and every budget. Come see us today at Ashley Furniture, 200 Starber Lane in Manhattan. Your home, your style, your Ashley.
James was diagnosed at 3 months old with neuroblastoma. We went from thinking we had a healthy 3-month-old little boy. All of a sudden, he had this super serious cancer. It was heartbreaking. He had chemotherapy until he was just under a year old, and at that point he was in remission.
Went that way for a year and then relapsed February of 2023, and here we are 1 year later, finishing up treatment, hopefully.
The research is extremely important. The treatments that they're developing here get shared with all the doctors to help treat children worldwide.
It's contributing something like one more piece of the puzzle to curing this horrible disease. We all want the same thing. We all want our children to live, have long, meaningful lives.
Finding cures, saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
Adoption of teens from foster care is a topic not enough people know about, and we're here to change that. I'm April Dinwiddie, host of the new podcast, Navigating Adoption, presented by Adopt US Kids. Each episode brings you compelling real-life adoption stories told by the families that live them with commentary from experts. Visit adoptuskids.org/podcast or subscribe to Navigating Adoption, presented by Adopt US Kids. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Administration for Children and Families and the Ad Council.
Allison is perfect. I mean, she'd never tell you that. She's perfect. Allison, wait, are you texting and driving? Texting and driving makes good people look bad. Visit stoptextstoprex.org, brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
For area high school scores, recaps, league standings, and coach interviews, check out Scoreboard Saturday at 8 a.m. during football and basketball season, including coverage of the Centennial League, NCKL, Big East League, Flint Hills League, and the Twin Valley League. Scoreboard Saturday on News Radio KMAN is powered by WTC Communications.
I'm Gavin Hyatt with a Wildcat Insider sports update brought to you by Bottle Cap Sports Bar. For his 2-interception performance in K-State's 41-28 win over TCU, linebacker Des Purnell has been named the Big 12 Defensive Player of the Week. It is the first ever Conference Weekly award for Purnell and the first for a Wildcat defender since Kobe Savage against Texas Tech in 2023. Purnell had 8 tackles, 2 tackles for loss, a sack, and 2 pass breakups in addition to his 2 picks. On back-to-back plays in the third quarter, Purnell recorded an 8-yard sack before picking off a pass and returning it 25 yards for a touchdown. It was K-State's first pick 6 since current San Francisco 49ers Marquis Siegel returned an interception 43 yards for a score last year at West Virginia. The Big 12 and TNT Sports announced Monday that the Sunflower Showdown between K-State and KU in Lawrence on October 25th will kick at 11 a.m. and be shown on TNT with a simulcast on True TV and HBO Max. K-State has won 16 straight in the series. PowerCat Game Day will start pregame coverage at 11 a.m. Kansas State basketball fans were in for a bit of surprise Monday afternoon when they looked at preseason AP Top 25 and saw the Wildcats listed. K-State won't be ranked to open the year, but they did receive 13 votes, which would be good for 31st. This comes after another offseason overhaul by Jerome Tang and the staff.
Gavin, you ever heard of a band called the Bangles in your life?
No. Not at all.
I got a feeling this could be played at Singo tomorrow night at Ball Caps.
All right.
Well, I get
No.
Bangles. Okay. I was thinking Bengals. Like the different spelling. Bangles is unlike bangs, your hair.
Well, it's like a bangle is like a bracelet.
Oh.
Yeah.
Tim's the smart one today. I just know they do the song "Walk Like an Egyptian." What else? They do
Love the
Make Money?
Bangles, Eternal Flame.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Had a couple of number ones.
Yeah. Easy Trade a Winner. The Simon Garfunkel cover.
I couldn't care less about Simon and Garfunkel, to be honest with you.
That's not nice. They care about you, Mitch.
No, they
Think
don't.
about that.
You can go to a show in Branson, a Simon and Garfunkel Branson show. Would you do that?
Yeah, I would. Yeah. If
be
they
so-
don't
be
speak
so
to each
boring.
other now, but
Be so
I would
boring.
do it. Yeah.
Ah.
Paul Simon's a legend. You know what?
I mean, I hear you. What's the what was the song he did? The music video with Chevy Chase.
You Can Call Me Al.
That's right. That's a
Yeah.
good tune. That's good, too. And I love the music video because Chevy's doing the lip syncing the whole time.
I celebrate the whole catalog, the whole Paul Simon catalog.
My two groups or bands that are just like were crazy popular, maybe still to this day, that I'm not a big fan of, Simon and Garfunkel and The Who.
See, I enjoy both.
They talked about this on Dan Patrick today, as a matter of fact. There's probably others, but those would probably be the top two. It's just not me.
I get The Who is weird because they are just kind of like the other British Invasion. You know, they're not my favorite of those, but I do like The Who. I'll put on Tommy.
Our phone number is 785-537-1350 if you want to call or text. Let's hear from Chris Kleiman, who spoke after the game, the win against TCU. Felt like it was an all-around victory.
I thought we played well in all three phases at times. There's always going to be things that we've got to get better at and work at. But we came out with energy, with urgency. We came out with physicality.
Was K-State good in special teams throughout the day? I don't know if they really had a return, really.
Luis Rodriguez hit both of his kicks.
I mean, you just know the kid is going to step into the game and knock him through. You know, I mean, he's so automatic. Just some JUCO kid that the Cats just, the Tui, Coach Tui just goes and gets this kid from California. Hey, hope you're done eating hot dogs. The 4th of July is over. We need a kicker, bud.
Please come.
And he comes and just knocks down everything. He's been a blessing.
They didn't let him kick the 51-yarder, though. They punted. I wish they would have let him, because I think he could do it. I want to see. I want to see him hit another 50.
Yeah, but that was still like nothing, right?
Yeah. Cole's shaking his head. Yes, I don't.
It was like a 50.
Yeah.
It was I don't know.
It was obviously the right decision. But
I'm with you. I would like to
let the kid kick.
Well, he's already hit one, right?
He has, but I want more.
He's fun. And what a great kid. We met him a week or two ago. Fantastic kid. A great interview.
Best interview of the season so far, in my opinion.
Chris Kleiman, talking about the defense, says they threw some different looks at TCU, and that benefited them.
I thought it was the best we played. We made some adjustments in a 3-day week with some coverages that we put in. We put in a few new coverages. We put in a few new alignments of things that I wanted to address, and I told Joe that we're going to address because people were picking on us in a specific area. And so we put in a couple of different alignments and a couple of different coverages, and I think it fooled him a little bit.
Would that be like plays in the middle of the field? Getting behind the safeties, getting it behind, creating a miscommunication between a safety and a corner, things like that. That's just a guesstimation. The defense played well through some adversity.
There's good players in this league. You're going to give up some plays. We cannot give up the explosive, and we know that. But just proud of the way that the guys stayed in the fight. And guys, they know what they've done in the past from TCU as well as from ourselves that, we got to step up. And sometimes adversity makes us stronger, and today it did.
And I was happy with what, Coach, said about the defense. I felt like it was against Baylor, like he was maybe a tad bit unfair to the defense there a little bit, especially in the second half. I felt like there was just maybe, I don't know if I would use the word blame, but just maybe more of a focus on the defensive mistakes compared to the offensive mistakes. I don't know if you agree with that or disagree with that.
And it kind of makes sense because I know that's he's more dialed in on those decisions, I would imagine. Not that he's not doing both, but that's, I think he probably has a larger share of input just because of his background on the defensive end. So I'm sure that's where his mind naturally goes to first. That's where maybe he has the highest of expectations for especially those guys on the back end. But I think in general it's fine. The second big touchdown that they gave up was with 7-8 seconds to play or some ridiculous number.
Yeah, it was
maybe 26.
It was up 3 scores.
Far, do you want to do that? No. Did it matter? No.
Well, I said the first hour, I was more annoyed with the first, this 85 yards, whatever it was, the touchdown to Eric McAllister, who's their best wide receiver. He's a very good weapon. for TCU, who just really wasn't doing a whole lot prior to that play. Look, K-State was one stop away from probably getting into garbage time. Maybe not a whole lot of some backups coming in and getting some opportunities because the offense would probably get the ball back. I would assume TCU would have gone for it on fourth down. You're deep in K-State, in their own territory, rather. K-State gets another turnover on downs. Like, if that touchdown doesn't happen, we're probably feeling even a lot better about the win over TCU. But it happened. Zayshawn Rich got picked on there a little bit because he was one-on-one with Eric McAllister. And Eric is a little bit of a bigger guy. And a perfect pass. No doubt, the best pass of the game was Eric McAllister on the 85-yard touchdown against Zayshawn Rich. And that's probably the one defensive play that bugged me more than anything else that the defense did all game long. And there's only one player that was probably kicking himself and was not happy with the defensive performance, and that was Zayshawn Rich, although I do feel like he's having a pretty solid season. The numbers aren't really going to back up necessarily what K-State was able to do defensively. K-State won this game because of the defense, because of the turnover on downs. They forced officially 3 turnovers in the game, 6 with the turnover on downs. This was a fantastic defensive game for K-State. I say fantastic because of all the takeaways that they forced. And 2 defensive touchdowns, those are not easy to come by. Great heads up by Wesley Fair, who scores a scoop and score off a lateral pass from Josh Hoover, and then he throws the ball into the stands.
The defense needed to make plays, so my thought process was just, man, I got to play fast. And so I came in there, tried to hit something. The ball just happened to be there. I picked it up. I made a dumb decision. I can't be doing that, obviously, but I was just excited, kind of blacked out, didn't know what to do.
Here's Chris Kleiman.
Wesley knows I was a little irked at him, though. Can't take a penalty like that, but I know he was excited, and you know the sideline warning is one thing. We can't throw souvenirs into the stands, and Wes knows that. But it was a big time play too. Somebody get that ball back for us, please.
That was a very pivotal moment in the game because K-State was 7-7. Again, the fans weren't too, entertained at that point. It wasn't an offensive explosion. We expected more points in the first half, but at 7-7, the lateral, that's after K-State marches right down the field and answers a TCU touchdown. The Wesley Fair scoop and score. Well, Wesley throwing the ball in the stands gives, TCU, after a good return as well, fantastic field position. Let's not forget, they had fantastic field position with like a minute 45 to go. And they're picking up a couple of first downs. They get into K-State territory. What killed them was a holding penalty. A holding penalty that backed them up out of field goal range. They don't do anything on third. They basically have to eat it and punt it away to K-State. That was an underrated moment of that game where TCU could have got a 2-for-1, but they didn't. Let's hear more from K-State's head coach Chris Kleiman after the game. How about the Des Purnell game?
Des is one of the best players in our conference, and I've said that for the last couple of years. He's very underrated. He's very smart. He's always that guy that can make those splash plays. I think adding the couple coverages we added really helped him, and he made some plays on the ball, and he's a really good dropper in coverage. He had a great rush on a sack. Just does everything really well. So I was really pleased for him.
I mean, you're guaranteed now, like every year, and this is his last year, but you've been guaranteed every year that you're going to get a touchdown from Des Purnell every year. And he's done that. 3 non-offensive touchdowns for Des Purnell in his career. He spoke to the media for like 5 minutes after the game. It was a lot of, hey, shout out to my teammates. Setting me up for great plays. Well, I just thought Des was he read Josh Hoover pretty well on that first interception. The second one got tipped right into his hands, and he knew what to do with it.
I guess maybe you can say that the pass rush led to Josh Hoover throwing it and not realizing where Des was. But aside from that, man, that was all Des from catching it to running it in. Good to be humble, but sometimes you're just that guy, and he was that guy.
Well, and I'm guessing a lot of people missed this moment, but because there was like 500 people in the stands at the time. But in the fourth quarter, he should have had a third one.
Yeah.
Like the ball kind of got batted around, and all of a sudden he's laying on the ground. The ball kind of lands on him. I don't know if it just got knocked out or he just didn't haul it in or whatever. He should have had a hat trick, which would have been the first since.
3 picks in a game. Oh, man. Springing this on me. How far are we talking?
2012.
Oh, okay. Oh, God, I should know this.
Alan Chapman.
That's right.
Oklahoma State.
That's right.
3 interceptions, including a pick 6.
That's right.
I think he had a pick 6 that game. Actually, I think he had back-to-back years. I think back-to-back years he had a pick 6 against Oklahoma State. One in Stillwater in 11 and in the turnover in the pick 6 in 2012.
Bubba.
Was that his nickname?
I think so.
I don't know anything about him. That was my first year covering the team, 2012.
I was in the student section.
I was using the station tickets every Saturday. Let's see. Do we got a couple more clips here we want to play? We're not talking enough about Garrett Oakley in his day. 2 touchdowns. He led K-State in receiving.
And he's playing with such confidence. Avery and he have a great chemistry and great connection. And I think Oak's one of the top tight ends in the country, if not in the Big 12 in the country, because he's such a great big body and he does really well after the catch and he runs good routes. And Lackey told me that when we came in the locker room, we honored Oak, which we should have. Kid's a really good football player and he uses his body so well.
Yeah, this was just a day. It was a day of milestones. It was a day of firsts. A lot of individual accolades. Des Purnell's the Big 12 Defensive Player of the Week. His 2 interceptions. He had a sack right before his pick 6. Garrett Oakley with 2 receiving touchdowns. He is now the all-time leader in K-State football history for tight ends with receiving touchdowns now with 11. Joe Jackson with his first career 100-yard rushing day. And, man, I asked him after the game, I'm like, dude, you got to be banged up after this one because he was getting hit low a ton, wrapped up, gang tackled. Like, it was very hard for him to get any yards off contact. He still finished with a $110. He was only tackled 1 time for a loss. And no touchdowns on the day. No rushing touchdowns for K-State in this one. 3 passing touchdowns for Avery Johnson. 16 of 26, 3 touchdowns for a $198. It was a great day for a lot of individuals. It really was. But I'll repeat this. I thought K-State's defense, without them, I don't know if K-State wins this game. The offense probably does enough. It just depends on what if K-State doesn't get that second interception. What if K-State doesn't get that scoop and score? The pick 6. Here's the what if that I shouldn't think about because the defense just had such a great game, and I should truly appreciate it. But I think about, like, what if K-State didn't have all those things go their way? It probably is actually a 50-50 ball game. Yeah. It's a much tighter game. Mm-hmm. K-State got the ball back thanks to the defense in short territory, and K-State was able to put it away with some Luis Rodriguez field goals to go up 3 scores and basically put the game on ice. It was K-State's offense with the response to the TCU touchdown that brought life to the team. It was the K-State defense that made K-State the better team. Does that make sense?
It does, and I agree. I think that in general, with any game, if you're like, well, if this thing changes, then you know, what does that change about how K-State would have responded in that moment? Would things have happened still the exact same way? You know, you just don't know. But I think, you know, in general, yeah. I mean, the difference in the game when you come down to it, when you come down to it, is what the defense was able to do.
So let me ask you now the $64,000 question. Do you feel better about the KU game in 2 weeks?
I do. I do feel better. I don't, you know, you still, it kind of, you know, you don't feel great. You maybe wish that KU also didn't have a bye week this week. So, I mean, you're both going to get a chance to heal up, kind of fix some things that you've been struggling with. But, you know, K-State has taken some pretty significant jumps over the next couple weeks. And so with another bye week to kind of to fix a couple of things, getting a couple folks healthy. You never know who could pop up. I don't know. I feel pretty good. I'm not terrified.
3 or 4 weeks ago, there wasn't an area on this team, maybe with the exception of Luis Rodriguez, that didn't have its struggles. And now on October 13th, at a 3-4 record, there isn't a phase of this game that isn't better than what it previously was.
Absolutely.
With maybe the exception of Luis Rodriguez, because he's only been good. His only miss was a block. We take a timeout. This week in the Big 12 is after these words.
You're listening to Wildcat Insider.
Medicare's annual enrollment is here, October 15th through December 7th. It's your chance to review or change your prescription drug plan. Premiums, copays, and even which medications are covered can change every year. Don't risk paying more or having your prescriptions left out. I'm Malia McKinney with L&L Advisors. I'll compare your plans side by side to make sure your medications are covered at the best cost. Local, genuine, and here for you. Call 785-280-9621 today.
Hi, I'm Scott Seal, candidate for City Commission. If you're like me, you're tired of politicians making promises that sound nice but don't add up, like running for student council promising pop in the drinking fountains. Lately, we've seen candidates and even some city commissioners more focused on appealing to their supporters than making the tough, responsible decisions for our community. I'm not here to play political games. I'm here to solve problems, bring people together, and get things done for our city. Paid for by Scott Seal for City Commission, Cheryl Grice, Treasurer.
That's a quick break. That's quicker than I thought it was going to be. All right, we got this week in the Big 12. We'll take a look at the standings here in just a little bit. But, Tim,
yes,
Cats are off, so we can relax for a weekend. Just enjoy some college football, enjoy the NFL, whatever you want to enjoy. There's pumpkin patches, whatever you want to do. There's plenty of options around here, which also, by the way, this week, I am so excited. It's not Maction, but it is. It's college football on a Tuesday. We got 3 games on Tuesday tomorrow. 3 games. Now,
it's exciting.
I mean, you got New Mexico State Liberty. You got Florida International, Western Kentucky. Wednesday, there's 2 games. Thursday, there's a game. Friday, there's a bunch of games. You got Miami Louisville on Friday.
Yeah, we're in the middle of a 30. I think it started last Sunday, or maybe it started last. I don't know. We're in the middle of a 30-plus day streak where there's football every day of the week.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I'd rather watch MAC than probably CUSA and Sunbelt, but
yeah,
I'll take whatever, I suppose. But the Big 12 will start Saturday. Arizona is going to play an 11 a.m. game. And that's going to be at Houston. So you got 4-2 Arizona who's trying to bounce back. Houston is at 5-1. They took care of business against Oklahoma State. I think this will be very interesting because Arizona played a lot better than I thought they would against BYU.
Mm-hmm.
Like for that game to go to overtime, Arizona's playing better than I thought they would. They're a better team than they should be. But now they're going to Houston. Houston is a tough defense. Probably a low-scoring game. Like this is going to be like 23-20, probably type of game.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I do not know what to make of this game. The line is Houston minus 1.5, which I think is fair. But yeah, no, I don't know. It's going to be a good one.
Baylor is at TCU. That's 11 a.m. on ESPN2. Those are K-State's last 2 opponents. I think TCU is a better team.
Yes.
I don't think Baylor's defense is very good. TCU has a much better defense, in my opinion. I see the margin is pretty slim. I would take TCU to cover 2.5 all day, unless there's some injury I don't know about. Or Bryson Washington's feeling a lot better.
Yeah, I think the TCU's defense is better. Also, I think if you're K-State in the slim but still real chance that you find a way to trip your way into Arlington, you need to not have a tie with Baylor. So go Frogs.
We got a nooner on TNT, West Virginia UCF. Who cares? At night, 7 o'clock ESPN2, Cincinnati Oklahoma State. Who cares? That's Cincy big. Texas Tech and Arizona State. I would assume Red Raiders should take care of business there. We'll move on. The Holy War is this Saturday. Number 23 Utah, number 15 BYU. I'm going to go Utah to get this done on the road. I say on the road. Hostile environment known as Lavelle Edwards Stadium.
Yeah. I think Devin Dampier is just getting kind of healthier and healthier. And, man, that Utah defense, they're looking real smashy. So I don't know.
By the way, ESPN is a bunch of cowards. This should have been game day.
Despicable.
But it's Georgia, Ole Miss.
Great.
Who cares?
Their 17th SEC game in a row.
Hey, by the way, before we wrap up, that's what this week in the Big 12 is all about. We are getting really close to K-State basketball. That exhibition that Wyatt was talking about, 11 days out. The AP Top 25 came out today. K-State receiving votes. How about the Cats?
Yeah.
31st unofficially. So what I was told is one person put K-State at number 13 in the country. I don't know who it was. I don't know if you do.
Someone posted his name. He didn't post like his credentials, like where he was from. I mean, sure.
We got a believer. Somebody that actually knows ball.
That's what,
Finally, the AP has somebody.
Someone thought that, well, maybe he just mistook. He meant to put KU there. No,
there's no mistake.
That guy had KU on his ballot at like number 22.
KU will be overrated for the fourth consecutive year. By the way, K-State women's basketball, 4 nationally televised games at KU on FS1, January 25th, February 15th at Iowa State on ESPN2. 23rd, K-State Baylor, ESPN2. March 1st, K-State Iowa State in Bramlage, FS1. For Cole, Gavin, Tim, I'm Mitch. We're out. The game 4-6 tomorrow. Go Cats.
Getting you closer to the locker room than anyone else. This is Wildcat Insider. Wildcat Insider, an exclusive presentation of the flagship station of the K-State Sports Network. News Radio 1350, KMAN.
At Buck Roofing and Construction, they do more than just roofing and gutters. They also offer a wide range of siding options as well. Whether you are in need of siding, a whole new roof, gutters, or just a repair, Buck Roofing can